AlphaDestiny, and today I'm bringing you a part 2 interview with Meckanimal. For those who don't know, I've been following for years, and he's a guy that I highly recommend you all subscribe to. Real deal, natural muscle, being an overall badass athlete.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.
Your experience, like, how long you peaked for your 405?
About 3 to
How
4
long it
weeks.
took? I mean, how much you built from when you got back to benching?
Well, it started at the end of December, you can say, and I got it
hmm
May 25th.
Okay,
So
so about 5, 6 months. I mean, five, six
I think it
months. Yeah,
was
yeah.
5.5 months, something like that.
5.5 months. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And when you start, you have your test bench. How much was it? Or you haven't test? You just
I just
straight
went
up to
straight into
variation.
conjugate full on, man.
It's
So I don't even
straight
know.
up to variation.
Yeah, because also
Oh, okay.
I found that being psychologically defeated is not good,
hmm hmm
and I knew that I was gonna be weak because I lost a lot of weight. So I just said, screw it, let's
Yeah.
go into
So yeah, sure.
variations,
Let me just go to variation. Got
and
you.
I'll do weird ones too, like the Swiss bar
hmm
dead bench with
Yeah, I saw the Swiss
chains.
bar one. Yeah,
So
that ugly bar.
yeah, man, like
Saw the ugly bar.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's all about straining.
Yeah,
That's
but I
that's
thought
what it is.
because I tried to apply that right, but there's not much variation I can use for weighted calisthenics. That's
That's
why I try to just do pauses version, rings
yeah,
version, and that's pretty much the only thing I had. So I had like the three different variation of pulling and three different variations of dip. So I had like regular, the pause, and then the ring version that
yeah.
I alternate in between pull and push. So I mean, on the
That
ring version
extends it a
of the
bit.
pull,
Yeah.
I use the archers. That's what I did for the first half year, and then I started doing straight up weighted rings in the second
Exactly.
half year
Well,
because I wanted to peak for one arm pull up. So I did the thing; it wasn't really giving me what I wanted, so I just switched up to let me just go straight to a ring weighted pull up. And when I want to work on my one arm pull up, I would just focus solely on that. But it was good because I still built some I mean some relative strength in the process. So I only had three variations of the upper body.
okay.
The lower body gave me more option of variation, that I still
Yeah.
that I was able to milk. But I tried to the weighted push up, for example, to use as a variation of pushing. But to me, the setup requires was just too much. That's why I decided not to use it. The weighted push-up, I had to use like a high bench, like a elevated bench for my legs, something high enough so that the weight can be hanging, and I had to use two platforms. So I need like a tripod setup.
Yeah.
And being mobile, I cannot duplicate that environment in different gym if I'll end up blank. So I was like, I'm just not gonna go for it. And I didn't even know there's two school of thought about whether that is really helpful or not. A lot of people use it and feel like it's the end of be all. It helps a lot. Other people have used it and be like, it's not really that great of the deal. So it will be ever been that, and then do the weighted version of it, like put either the weight on my back or which is not stable. You need somebody always to do that. Or you put the weight on your belt, which needs you to be perched up. And either way is not convenient. It requires too much logistic. That's why I decided not to use the weighted push up as a
Interesting.
variation on my push. I just stick to the deep variation, the simple ones, the normal, the positive,
That makes
and
sense.
the ring tip.
And
Yeah.
I think what made you get away with it while not having a lot of variations is that you would alternate. So one
hmm
week you would do the dip part, then the other
hmm
week would be the
Yeah.
pull up. So you go back and forth. It
Yeah.
allows you to keep using it. Then the
Right.
accessories, that's where you're pushing the volume anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah, I use the skill work like front lever raises and a bunch of variation that I always wanted to work. Like on my lever, for example, for some reason it's so hard. Like I have to pick for to have like a few second lever, and it's not like the perfect packed one that I even want. So I figured I might as well build volume throughout the phases. So I just kept on playing around with volume. So I built to three set of 10 raises and then four set of 10, and then I reached to five set of 10. My goal was to do five set of 15, which is a whole lot of volume to be doing one
Hmm.
session. But when I reached that, I mean, I felt like the last repetition were still escaping. So I felt that I reached overused zone. So that's when I started incorporating the raises with pause to kind of have a mini peak for the skill
Mm-hmm.
itself, which I'm gonna do right now because it's been like 8 months that I've really building the volume, and I felt like okay, I think it's now enough for me to see if I can peak for strength. I gain enough hypertrophy already to see if it can have a carryover if I pick for like the hold themselves. I'm gonna go with some negatives and then negatives holds and then within 6 weeks and see where my new front lever form would be at. So I
Mm.
use those and I use the iron cross raises for
Yep.
pushing movement. So it can get really creative when it comes to accessory
It's
work
easier with it.
that can is yeah. And you get to do the movement that you will be skeptical of using
Yeah.
because you're afraid of not picking properly. But this time it was all about hypertrophy, so I didn't have a problem
That's
using a lot of variation and build that. On max effort, the three set of three that I was gonna ask you, that was one of my concerns. I was wondering if I should use them because I felt that maybe I was not breaking through because I didn't have enough volume,
mm,
on the weighted pull. Even though I do like a good 12 sets, I mean, 8 set of, I start with 12 set of two and 12 set of three, and then it was too much volume, and I reduced it to 8 sets of three to make it 24 rep count,
yeah.
and which was much more manageable, doesn't induce too much soreness that I cannot recover from. And I used to use a 60%,
And then you have to
50 to
switch to
60% on the pool.
yeah.
And then it was a lot of work and I was always tired. And then after like the first cycle, I decided to use the Matt Wenning approach and use 30%. So when I use 30%, I mean, when I heard about it, it made more sense, especially that it's a bodyweight movement. It's more taxing in terms of proprioception and stuff. So using lesser weights would make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt Wenning even using that for bench press and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, might as
It's a
well use
perfect
that.
solution. Yeah.
And it was good. It worked pretty well. That's when I even adjust the set count to 8. So instead of decreasing from 10, I mean from 12, 10 and 8 like the convention,
Mm-hmm.
I do like 8. I start with 8 and I go to 7 and I end up with 6 sets. So by the third, because the way I start up my cycles is it's a 6 week, but every 3 weeks I change the dynamic effort.
And
So I use the dynamic effort movement for 3 weeks. So in one cycle of 6 weeks, I change the dynamic effort twice, even though the normal cycle is a 6 week cycle. So that's how I started. And then after 7 months, I started using the third week of each of the 6 weeks as a mini like a recovery week. I'll use 80% of the loads. Like first week one is normal, week two normal, and then on the third week I had like a recovery week where I use 80% of the load, which helped me getting ready for the fourth week where I go mildly hard. On the fifth week I go hard, and then I have another recovery week on week 6. So this is what I've been doing for the past 2 months, and it's been working awesome. So I
mm,
wish I had figured that out for my body when I first started. It would have helped me a lot on recovery management.
yeah.
Because back then I would just go all out from 1 to 5, and
Yeah.
then I get like a kind of a deload week on week 6, which is really not a deload.
Yeah.
So I didn't take a deload week until like week 10. So that was like almost like 5 months through the whole thing before I had one deload week. And after that, I never took the deload because I didn't want to take a deload because I felt like I'm gonna detrain. So my mind was like, back in the days, I may have been indulging on those deload. This time I'm gonna keep it, just manage volume, even though it feels exhausting, and hoping that when it's time to perform, I'll be just fine. So yeah, that's how I've been doing. But the recovery week aspect has been working like wonderfully. So
Like when you say
I'm
recovery.
probably if I continue that, it will be like 1 2 recovery, 1 2 recovering. And Pavel, I was listening to Pavel Sasulin the kettlebell guy, yeah. So in aspect of strength training, given that the body cannot handle more than 2 hard weeks, of training before starting to lose performance, it made more sense to me that okay, I'm gonna push those 2 weeks, have like a recovery week, and then go for another 2 weeks, and then
Interesting.
that 6 weeks could be like a deload week where everything is 50%, or could be another recovery week.
The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will be live.